Here's what's happening now, looking good and pushing 70. Believe it or not, we've got even warmer temperatures in the forecast. Paula?
Hey, Ben, late-breaking details of that local emergency room physician who's accused of sexually mutilating young girls for a religious ritual. We are still unpacking these late-breaking details, Kimberly.
Okay, Paula, we'll look forward to your report coming up. Also, first at 4, the hunt is on for a man who posted a murder on Facebook. Police say the search area includes the state of Michigan. But at first, a nasty crash leaves one person dead and closes part of this highway just as the evening rush hour begins. That's where we start today for the news at 4 o'clock. This
Local 4 News begins right now with a breaking news alert.
And this breaking news is coming out of Summerfield Township. That's where a woman is dead after an accident on US 23. According to police, the semi-truck's load fell. All southbound lanes are currently closed. So let's take a look at the scene right now, live from Sky 4. You see that mess there. There's no estimate on when those southbound lanes are going to reopen. We're told the woman who passed away is from Ohio. We have a crew on the way to the scene and expect to have a live update during Local 4 News at 5 o'clock. But if we get any new information before then, we will, of course, bring it to you right away here on Local 4 News at 4. Also, first at 4, Detroit police investigate a shooting involving 2 of their own. There's a lot of confusion about what happened outside a home on the city's west side. Someone inside that home, though, fired a shotgun, apparently believing the officers were burglars. Rod Maloney spoke to the police chief today. And Rod, do we know how those officers are doing this hour?
Yeah, in fact, one of the officers that was shot was only slightly wounded. He was released from the hospital early this morning, but decided to stay here at Sinai Grace and spend the rest of the evening with his partner, who was more severely injured. He took a couple of shotgun pellets to the face and ended up having to go into surgery. That other officer apparently has gone home now, but the officer who went into surgery is now out and is recovering, and they believe that both of these officers are going to be okay. But Chief Craig had a lot to say about this situation today.
The objective is to remove at least one of the pellets, not certain as to the second one because there could be some other complications with that. So we're in a wait-and-see mode.
Detroit police rolled out heavy weaponry, calling in the special response team overnight. In the daylight, though, we get a clearer picture about what happened on this west side stoop last night. A 911 call came into the 12th precinct just before midnight, the third yesterday, claiming a burglary in the area. 2 25-year-old Detroit police officers, one with 18 months on the job, the other with 2 years on the force, investigated. First checking a vacant house nearby, and then with flashlights out, went to this house looking for more information. Behind this window stood a 19-year-old boy, apparently scared out of his wits, pulled the trigger, hitting both officers.
The facts tend to suggest that the shot was fired because the subject believed that they were going to be burglarized.
The question now is whether prosecutor Kim Worthy views this as an accident or criminal. The young man who pulled the trigger is in custody. There's a warrant package headed to the prosecutor's office. And in the meantime, Chief Craig had nothing but praise for the officer still in Sinai Grace Hospital, listed now in stable condition.
This is an individual who is a hero. He's courageous. He loves serving the city of Detroit.
Now, the chief is talking about this officer as a hero because he helped to prevent a suicide in the city earlier this year, and felt that this officer deserves a lot of credit for a lot of the work that he has done in his 2 short years in the police department. In the meantime, there's a very important figure in all of this. It's an 83-year-old man, the grandfather of the boy who is alleged to have pulled the trigger. We're going to talk to him coming up on Local 4 News at 5. Reporting on Detroit's west side, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
Okay, Rod, we look forward to hearing from you again at 5 o'clock. Thank you. In more news, the criminal charges against this doctor from Detroit have stunned people all around the world. She's charged with female genital mutilation, and she appeared in federal court this afternoon. Our Paula Tutman was there, and Paula, the doctor, has been in custody since we reported this last week, I believe. Do we believe that she's going to get out on bond, or is she still in custody?
Oh, no. No bond. She is still in custody. She will still be detained. The judge believed her to be a flight risk as well as a risk or a danger to the community. Now, Kimberly, before I continue, I need to let you know that many of the details of this story are extremely graphic. There's almost no way to make them less explicit, and we do want people to be aware of that as they're hearing this story. So she belongs to a religious sect. They call themselves Mu'minines. They pray out of a mosque in Farmington Hills. This particular physician is charged with the mutilation of two 7-year-old girls from Minnesota who crossed state lines with their mothers for this ritualistic procedure that this woman is apparently a go-to for performing. We know a few more things about Dr. Jumana Nargawala, the Henry Ford Health System emergency room doctor, who now stands accused of federal charges that amount to the willful mutilation of young girls' genitalia in a religious ritual often referred to as cutting, female circumcision, and or FGM, or female genital mutilation. In her detention hearing in federal court this afternoon, she appeared in orange prison garb while still wearing her religious headscarf. Born in the U.S. and of Indian descent, she belongs to a small but growing sect of Muslims called Anjuman-e-Najmi. Her defense attorney admits that for years, as far back as 2005, she's been performing ritualistic procedures on girls as young as 7 at a medical facility in Livonia not associated with Henry Ford. This is where the semantics game begins in a matter that is not a game and incredibly serious and illegal. The federal government says Nargawala has been a go-to after-hours practitioner, seeing young girls who belong to her religious sect after hours at that clinic in Livonia. The girls, some out of state, hence the federal charges, are not told why they're being transported across state lines for a procedure in which parts of the female anatomy are sliced off or dehooded. Shannon Thompson, Nargawala's attorney, admits there was a ritualistic procedure that her client performed, but says it was just a wiping of fluid from the child's genitalia, which would then be placed in a gauze and buried in accordance with the customs of the religious sect. But the prosecution believes there is strong evidence that the children were indeed cut and mutilated, and the victims are many. So, Kimberly, we're just getting out of federal court. Still a lot of details to be unpacked. One of the other things that came out is that this woman is a mother herself. She has 4 children, including 2 or even 3 daughters. And also there's talk of feuding sects within this religious sect. And the defense attorney is saying that one sect is just trying to out the other sect and get them in trouble. Like I said, we're unpacking it. We'll have more at 5 as we try to explain a little bit more about what's going on behind the scenes here in federal court. Kimberly?
Okay, we'll look forward to talking to you a little later. Paula, thank you. Everyone is okay after an overturned milk truck caused a huge mess on I-94. The accident closed all westbound lanes of I-94 near Range Road in Port Huron Township this afternoon, or actually this morning, about 11 o'clock. Since then, all lanes have reopened. According to police, the milk truck clipped an SUV parked in the right-hand lane of I-94, causing it to flip. Thankfully, nobody was hurt in that accident. All right, in the first forecast, another gorgeous, gorgeous day for most of us. Let's check in with Ben Bailey to see how long this is going to last. Ben?
Yeah, Kim, at least first half of the week looking pretty good for a good chunk of southeast Michigan. Most of us have been in the upper 60s to near 70. Monroe's at 71, but look at the difference between our south and north zone. 45 up there in Port Huron with that northeast wind keeping things on the cool side. So mild and dry again tomorrow. We will be dealing with thunderstorms in spots midweek. We'll talk timing on that. Temperatures will be dipping on the other side of that going into the weekend. We'll see how far they'll fall in your 7-day forecast coming up, Kim.
Okay, Ben, first at 4, we are also on top of stories making headlines around the world, and we start in South Korea. That's where Vice President Mike Pence continues to apply U.S. pressure to leaders in North Korea. Vice President Pence made a surprise visit to the demilitarized zone separating the North and the South, warning Kim Jong-un the American era of strategic patience is over. He pointed to recent action in Syria and Afghanistan and warned North Korea not to test President Trump's resolve. The U.S. wants North Korea to stop testing missiles and shut down its nuclear weapons program. The newest justice on the United States Supreme Court has started his new job, and he got right to work today. Less than 15 minutes into his first hearing, Justice Neil Gorsuch asked 4 questions from the bench. The court was working on a federal workers' employment discrimination claim. The High Court is back to full strength for the first time since the death of Justice Antonin Scalia. And no problems to report at this year's White House Easter egg roll. The president and First Lady hosted the event today for the first time. There was speculation that planning for the event was running a little bit behind, but 21,000 adults and children enjoyed egg dyeing, cookie decorating, and the First Lady even read a story to many of the children. You see her there. The egg roll dates back to President Rutherford B. Hayes back in 1878. Britain's Prince Harry is opening up about his personal life, and he's getting kudos for bringing up an important issue. We'll talk about that coming up. And also ahead, a new and improved coffee. The creators say it's better for your teeth, but there are some unanswered questions about this new Java fix. But at first, new developments in the search for a man who posted a murder on Facebook. Police just made a new announcement, and we'll have that information coming up next.
The 3 Hope coming up all new on Local 4 News at 5 and 6.
Deputies on the roads in Macomb County have a brand new tool. It's not a weapon, it's not a gun, it's not handcuffs, it's not a taser, but it is something that could help them and you.
Okay, Nick, there are new developments at this hour in the search for a Cleveland man accused of recording a murder and posting it on Facebook. Devin Skillion is live in the newsroom to bring us up to date on this still developing story, and there are some new details, Devin.
There are, Kim. In fact, within the last hour or so, Cleveland police have now announced a $50,000 reward for information that leads to arrest of their suspect in this case. It was Easter Sunday afternoon. A Facebook posting in Cleveland turned social media into sociopath media. The search for Steve Stevens has now expanded beyond Ohio, and that includes Michigan, along with 3 other states. What he allegedly did has really sent shockwaves all across the country and created a lot of debate over the way we use social media. The video Stevens posted on Facebook showed him driving along a street in Cleveland's east side, getting out of his car and approaching a 74-year-old man who was just walking down the street. And without any provocation, the video shows a gun appear, and that walking man is then shot to death. The family of 37-year-old Steve Stevens says he told them he would kill people because he was angry with his girlfriend. The manhunt has spread to 4 states along with Ohio. That includes Michigan, and investigators say that they did briefly speak with Stevens right after the murder.
Early in this investigation, we did have contact with him, direct contact with our detectives. They tried to, of course, convince him to turn himself in, and of course that hasn't happened to date. So again, we're asking the public's help in finding this guy. We know he's out there someplace. We talked to him via cell phone, yes.
Now, on Facebook, Stevens claimed that he had committed several more murders, but police have found no evidence to back up those claims. He was last seen driving a white Ford Fusion with temporary Ohio plates. Investigators say Steve Stevens really has no criminal past to speak of, other than some traffic violations. We and Click on Detroit will stay on top with an update on the manhunt. We'll have the latest here coming up at 5 o'clock.
Indeed.
Kim, back to you.
I know a lot of people in Cleveland are on edge about this,
no
and
doubt about it.
we'll be watching it. Devin, thank you.
You bet.
All right, it was a rough Easter weekend in parts of Nebraska. Take a look. This is video from Dunbar, which is a town about an hour south of Omaha. Witnesses say they saw the tornado. It went through a field right across from their home. Storms also brought large hail to the area. Luckily, there were no reports of any significant damage. But you look at that and you wonder, how in the world was nothing damaged? But I guess if it's in the middle of a field and there's nothing there,
That's it.
That's how it is out there.
Awesome pictures, though. I mean, when nothing really gets torn
hurt.
up.
Back here at home, man, it wasn't a bad weekend.
No, it wasn't. It could have been a lot worse. That cold front didn't come through till late on Easter Sunday, but it spared a lot of us. There are some sprinkles out there this afternoon. Most of those are in our north zone. And a lot of us aren't going to see any of this. You can see it's just barely going to brush the northern end of Sanilac County, maybe getting a couple sprinkles there right now. The radar's in its most sensitive mode. So when you look down here to the city, it looks like there's a line of showers going through the city, but that's actually a lake breeze. When we start heating up the land, and the difference between the cooler lake waters causes that breeze to move inland, and you can see it on our wind speeds, 14, 15 mile an hour winds coming out of the east-northeast. So it is having an effect on temperatures where we're just in the 50s here in Mount Clemens and City Airport. Get further inland, though, 68 at Metro, 67 in Ann Arbor, 71 in Monroe. But look at the difference coming off the deeper waters here of Lake Huron. 45 right there in parts of St. Clair County and 47 there up in Sanilac County. We are going to be seeing a couple sprinkles around. The model tries to bring a few of these down towards Detroit, but I just don't think that's going to happen. Most of these are going to be north of 69. They're going to be relatively light, and they're not going to last very long. So everything should be out of here by sunset tonight. Then as we go into tomorrow, we get a dry day ahead. Warm front lifts north, so that's going to ensure that at least parts of the area, especially down here in Lenawee County, you're going to see warmer temperatures just as warm as what you saw today. But that wind is going to kick in out of the east for most of us. May take a few degrees off of those numbers, and we'll look at that in your 4-zone forecast coming up. 42 is where we're going tonight, and other than that early shower north of the city, we'll be dry and we'll see mostly clear skies once we get past sunset. And here are those high temperatures tomorrow that are going to vary pretty widely. 54 here in Clinton Township, 58 in the city. Then you get further inland and it's mid and even upper 60s as you head towards the western edge of our metro zone. South zone could be seeing a couple 70s. Morenci, you may be one of those spots. Otherwise, it's generally going to be upper 60s in Lenawee County and then closer to Lake Erie. That's where we're going to get the 50s with that wind off the water. West zone, everybody in the mid to upper 60s here, and big difference in our north zone. Those 40s there today are going to be back tomorrow. 46 in Sandusky, 45 in Lexington, and then in Lapeer, northern sections of Oakland and Macomb County, that's where everybody's going to get into the 60s, which is above average for this time of year. Even warmer as we go to Wednesday, 73, but chances of showers and storms on both Wednesday and Thursday, and there's a potential that some areas may see some strong storms on Wednesday. We'll talk more about that at 5. Temperatures cooling off for the weekend, mostly dry here Saturday. Could get a shower or storm by Sunday. Kim?
Hey, Ben. Many coffee lovers worry about what their favorite drink does to their teeth. Still ahead, a new clear coffee. But at first, a royal confession from Prince Harry. For the first time, he's talking about the delayed impact of his mother's death. But first, an update on breaking news that we told you about at the beginning of this broadcast. It's from Summerfield Township. All southbound lanes of US 23 remain closed after an accident that killed one woman. Police say the semi-truck, you see it there, its load fell onto the highway. We have a crew on the way to the scene. We have Sky 4. It's there now. We expect to have a live update during Local 4 News at 5 o'clock. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, let's get to today's top trending stories. A lot of people are talking about Britain's Prince Harry and his admission that he sought counseling to deal with his mother's death. The prince talked about his troubles to the Daily Telegraph newspaper. His mother, Princess Diana, died when the prince was just 12 years old. Well, Harry now admits he struggled with grief for years before getting counseling in his late 20s. Mental health advocates are praising his honesty, hoping that it will help others. So very good. A lot more people need to take counseling when they've experienced things like that. So that's great. He brings awareness to it, too. A British company is touting a new kind of coffee that shouldn't stain your teeth. It says they've created the first colorless coffee. The inventors say it's made from, help me with this, Arabica? No, Arabica. Arabica coffee beans. That's what we're going to go with. And pure water. I'm not a coffee drinker, you can tell, but they're not saying how they get the clear liquid. They say they use, quote, methods which have never been used before. And they're not sharing a full list of the ingredients either. The product is called CLR CFF, which is an abbreviation for clear coffee. It's online. And you can buy it now, but it'll cost you $7.50 for a 2-pack.
Whoa.
So when you see this bottle, you think, well, is it warm or is it cold?
It comes in a bottle.
I guess it comes in this bottle.
Crystal Pepsi would like a word with clear coffee.
Oh, really? So we'll see about that for all you coffee lovers. All right, still ahead, first at 4, firefighters in action, in action with a delicate rescue. We'll show you why the tiny, fuzzy fellows needed a hand when we come back. All right, everybody, finally first at 4, some firefighters in Utah spent their Easter saving a group of ducklings.
Yeah, the ducklings were stuck in a storm drain, so the firemen actually jumped inside and fished them out.
How about that? After rescuing them from the sewer, the firemen released them back into a nearby pond where their mother, are we going to see her there, was patiently waiting. You can kind of see it. Well, there. Oh, we won't see her.
Sure, she's there somewhere.
Yeah, but they're swimming pretty quickly there. All right, and while we're talking about cute baby birds and giraffes and all other animals. It's a good time to mention Local 4 is launching a new project called All for Pets. Our commitment to cover stories about pet rescues, pet health, and pet trends. We're also creating an online community where you can find all the information in one place. Just go to the All for Pets section on our website. Click on Detroit.com. All right, thanks for joining us for First at 4. We're back in a half hour with Local 4 News at 5. Inside Edition is next.